Hello kids, this is our writing lesson for today, writing a formal letter. So we have the following objectives. Number 1, learn the meaning and key features of a formal letter. And number 2, write a formal letter. You will need your reader's and writer's notebook, pages 212 and 216. Now what is a formal letter? A formal letter is usually addressed to people we don't know very well, people we haven't met, or people who are in authority. It is usually written to give information, express a concern, make a request, or complain. It uses a polite or more formal style than a personal or informal letter. What are the key features of a formal letter? A formal letter includes a heading, address, salutation, body, closing, and signature. It stays focused on one idea, and it uses a business-like tone and is polite and respectful. Open your reader's and writer's notebook to page 212. Let's read the sample of a formal letter. 1400 South Spring Street, Fort Worth, TX or Texas, 76123, May 20, 2020. Miss Laura Ramirez, 555 Grove Street, Chicago, Illinois or IL, 60,617. Dear Miss Ramirez, last week something terrible happened, but it made me think of you and the unit on whether we started to study right before you moved. On the evening of May 5, we had a horrible storm. We are okay, but we had to move to an apartment until the holes in our roof can be fixed. Luckily, our school was not hit by the storm. This week I learned more about what happened. Most of the damage was caused by balls of ice called hail. Hail is a form of precipitation that falls as chunks of ice. I learned that hailstorms are common during the summer in the Midwest and Western United States, but in Fort Worth we had hail as big as golf balls. The hail dented cars and tore holes in the roofs of buildings. Rain, thunder, lightning, and wind followed the hail and lasted all night. The storm caused a lot of damage in Fort Worth. When it ended, most of the people in town had no electricity. Many people were injured. Some buildings even collapsed in the strong winds. I think it will take a long time for buildings to be rebuilt in Fort Worth. I hope we never have a hailstorm like that again. It is good that you moved when you did, but I'll never forget your important message to us. Science doesn't just happen in books. Sincerely, Jane McMahon. Let's review the different parts of a formal letter. First, we have heading. Heading is usually written in the upper right-hand corner of the page. It contains the address of the sender and the date on which the sender is writing the letter. The address can extend to 2 or more lines. Next, what about this part? We call this part as address or inside address. It consists of the name and address of the person to whom you are writing. You should try to address the formal letter to a specific person and include his or her title. And this part is the salutation or the greeting. The salutation or greeting is written in the left-hand side after leaving a few lines below the address. It usually begins with the word dear, followed by the name of the receiver or the person being written to. A comma is used after the greeting or the salutation. And next, the body. The body or message of the letter comes in the next line after the salutation. The body contains the introduction, the purpose, and more details of the message the writer wishes to send. It can be divided into paragraphs when a lot of information needs to be conveyed. The first word begins with a capital letter and is written away from the margin and below the name of the receiver in the salutation. Next, sincerely. What do you call this part? This part is the closing. It contains the closing phrase to indicate a polite way of ending the letter. It is written in the lower right-hand side of the page. The first word of the closing begins with a capital letter. A comma is used after the closing. Then, we have signature, which contains the name of the sender. And now let's answer the questions about the sample of a formal letter. Number 1, what words in the closing of the letter show that the writer is respectful? Number 2, what information is included in the heading of this letter? I will give you 5 minutes to answer those questions. And now let's check your answers. Number 1. The writer ends the letter telling her teacher that she will never forget her message, then closes with sincerity. Number 2. The address of the sender, the date and the name, and address of the person receiving the letter. And now what about writing your own formal letter? Here is your writing prompt. Imagine you are creating a book about storms. Write a formal letter to Warren Fadley asking him for permission to use his photos. And here's the writer's checklist. Remember, you should include all 6 parts of a formal letter. You should use the appropriate language for your audience and purpose. You should give a short, simple explanation of why you are writing, and you should write legibly. And that's all for today, kids. Thank you so much and see you in the next video.